Welcome back to the Warix podcast, where we break down the big ideas shaping crypto and fintech. Today, we're joined by Ivar Wiersma, Business Development Lead for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa at LayerZero. We'll dive into why so many people remain skeptical about crypto and how better user experiences could be the key to turning that around. Welcome, Ivar.
Thanks, Lianna. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to be on the show. So thanks for having me. And thanks for the perfect pronunciation of my name. That must be tough.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much for being here. I usually like to start with, your journey and your professional background, just to see, how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So my professional background is rooted in traditional finance and capital markets, where I started my career in derivative sales. So I focused on helping large corporations with their risk management policies and hedging strategies. And that actually gave me a good understanding of the plumbing of global finance. I then transitioned into digital transformation and also started ING Labs, where we implemented some of the earliest blockchain solutions in capital markets and also in trade and commodity finance. We incubated a number of companies, spinning them out of the bank. And now I kind of feel like, I've come full circle to be in the world of crypto in terms of this change where, all the action is. So I joined LayerZero about 18 months ago to lead the business development efforts across the EMEA region. And obviously this is like a super exciting time because the space is taking off. There's so much happening. There's real uptake. But also I get to work with, loads of these wonderful companies that build new applications and work on solving some of the really, really difficult problems. Obviously, one of those examples being Wirex and Wirex Pay. So super exciting time and love to be here.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, let's start with something simple, right? Why do so many people still don't understand or trust crypto?
Yeah, I think that lack of understanding or maybe trust in crypto is a multifaceted problem. And a significant factor, I believe, is the complexity and as well as the technical jargon. So, for the average user of traditional finance systems is very familiar, and there's this veneer of trust and also focus on simplicity. So while traditional finance has loads of problems and challenges and inefficiencies, for the average user, they're like hidden away and the user experience is very familiar for them. Crypto, on the other hand, introduces new concepts to many of them. Like think about private keys or gas fees or decentralized networks and which chain are you actually on. And these concepts are new and often very, completely foreign to the average person. So I think that's one of the challenges. Then this is compounded by some high profile scams, hacks, and market volatility, which often is the leading narrative in mainstream media. So that also creates a bit of a perception of risk and instability, which I think is another barrier for people to really jump into crypto.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was just thinking perhaps crypto needs a rebrand, right? Because there's just been so much bad press about crypto, and that erodes the trust, right? And a lot of people say crypto apps are confusing. How much does that stop people from using crypto, do you think?
Yeah, I think that there is a big barrier. I think rebranding of crypto is already happening, right? So when you look at stable coins, for example, there's clear product market fit. People much more intuitively understand the value proposition and the benefit of having payments or access to global dollar banking and making international payments within a few seconds. So I think that rebranding and understanding is already happening as we speak. But a confusing UX still is a significant hurdle to further mainstream crypto adoption, I would say. So if a user can't intuitively understand how to send a transaction or manage their assets or interact with an application, they're likely to abandon the process at some step, right? And then it takes a while for them to return. So in traditional finance, sending money or checking your balance or putting something into an investment or on a savings account. That's very familiar. It's very clean and simplified from a user experience perspective. And in crypto, a single misstep can lead to loss of funds, um, but also you often need to like sign transactions or even sign certain steps in a process without completely understanding how many steps the process has or where you are. So yeah, I feel that that is sometimes confusing. There's often on a lot of crypto, there's loads of informations, or you see wallet addresses and so on. So I think that's definitely a big hurdle for further adoption that crypto applications should focus on in solving.
Yeah, I mean, I admit, when it gets too confusing, I give up, right? Especially when there's like more than five steps, I'll just be like, okay, you've lost me. It just gets too confusing. And so, do you think crypto apps can learn anything from traditional bank apps to make things easier in that sense?
So absolutely. I think crypto apps can learn a great deal from the simplicity of traditional banking apps. It's like very clear, presenting information in a clean, uncluttered way, and like focus on a simple user experience where they're not being distracted. So a user should be able to see their balance, recent transactions, and just a clear path to send or receive funds without having this steep learning curve. So, while banks have their own issues, their app kind of feel secure and dependable, and are simplistic in how they're being used. So, I think crypto applications need to focus on that abstraction of complexity as well. The average user in traditional finance, they don't know how the back end of a bank works. They don't know that that's a massive plate of spaghetti of all interlinked systems and all the inefficiencies that are present there. But when you're using many of the crypto applications, you are confronted with those technical details like gas fees, network selection, or even private key management. So, without compromising the core principles of decentralization and self custody and composability and programmability, these complexities should be abstracted away. And there's definitely good examples, right? That I think, Coinbase, for example, is doing a good job. There's uh, entry level user experience for users that just come on board, and then there's much more configuration possibilities for power users. There's a big focus to move things on chain, and there's more examples like that. But yeah, there's definitely a way to go, and I think crypto applications can learn from traditional banking apps, but also from e-commerce or other industries that really have a very clean and simplified user experience.
Yeah, I feel, clean and simple is the way to go, right? Because crypto can also feel very fragmented with so many chains, wallets, and apps. And, how do you think that affects skeptics' trust, you think?
I think that's another big factor, right? So multiple chains, wallets, apps. You need to know where you are, and yeah, I think this is a trust inhibitor. And for the crypto enthusiasts, what they see is an open, permissionless system that offers rapid innovation and loads of opportunities to find yield and investment opportunities. But for the skeptic, it probably looks like a chaotic, disorganized ecosystem. They see a new chain or a new token every week and wonder like which one is real, which one is safe. And this fragmentation creates, I think, a sense of risk and inefficiency. It is also that crypto is very layered, of course, right? So people probably or often enter by maybe buying Bitcoin or Ethereum and then focus on other tokens where hopefully value goes up, which is often exposing them to extreme market volatility. But then DeFi investment strategies and yield opportunities are even a further step away. So and then they're again confronted with fragmentation because they need to take their assets from one chain, bridge them to another chain. They need to have gas fees there in order to perform some sort of operation. Often it's not clear if the yield is fixed or variable. Yeah, there's a lot of fragmentation and UX challenges that can be improved on.
Yeah, I also feel like because trust is such an important thing, right? That the more add-ons or the more layers, it does get very confusing for people. I mean, even for me, but that is just us being overwhelmed by the overload of information, right? That we've got to, think about. But I think once we start you know, opening up a account or, a wallet, we'll get kind of used to it in a sense, that, on these processes. So how important is interoperability for making crypto easier to use for everyone?
Yeah, interoperability is massively important. It's, I think, the fundamental solution to the fragmentation problem, right? So without it, crypto will remain a series of isolated walled garden, each with its own liquidity, user base, application, ecosystem. But through interoperability and the ability to seamlessly and trustlessly move data and value between chains, that will create this unified, borderless digital economy. Liquidity is everywhere. Users can access any application from their preferred chain. Complexity in UX is abstracted away. And developers actually have the ability to build omni-chain applications that reach the entire crypto ecosystem and not just some portion of an audience that is familiar with one particular chain. So I think it's key to unlocking the full potential. Maybe also to touch upon what you said about trust. I mean, trust also builds over time. So even in crypto, you have these tier one household names that have amassed a lot of adoption and value and have been around for a long time. Think of Aave or MakerDAO or others in the space. So that also builds trust over time, which I think is very natural for a new industry, right? I mean, traditional finance also took time to build its reputation and build up that trust. So that's already happening. But yeah, interoperability and solving that is key to offering this united experience, and also allowing developers to have this massive ecosystem to build truly omni-chain applications from day one.
I totally agree with you. And in your journey, right? Like, have you seen any examples of projects doing a good job at connecting different crypto ecosystems?
I mean, this is obviously my time to to shill for zero, right? Because we power around 75% of all cross-chain transactions. So LayerZero is completely focused on connecting these different ecosystems and making sure that there is one united world of crypto, for example. So this allows chains to be connected to other chains and pull in liquidity and access users and ecosystems that would otherwise not be connected. And again, for applications or for developers to build applications that are truly omni-chain from the get-go. So this is our core focus at Layer Zero. But also at the application level, I think Wirex Pay is actually is a good example. Like, use your existing cards, focus on a simple united experience, no matter what chain you are on. So there's definitely projects that include account abstraction and abstract some of the complexities away, that do a really good job at connecting these ecosystems and expanding from one chain to the next. Stable coins are good examples as well, and you see that more on the investment side as well, where vault strategies are present at multiple chains, and then from a user perspective, you don't need to take your assets to that particular chain, but this all happens in a one-click journey. So there's lots of things, really exciting things going on to unite all those connected ecosystems.
Yeah, I love that, and with the focus on user experience as well, because I think that is so important. But some people say crypto isn't for everyone, so what is your take on that?
Yeah, I strongly disagree. I mean, the internet wasn't for everyone in 1995, right? So, uh,
On the mobile phones.
yeah, I mean, it starts somewhere. But yeah, looking at the internet over time, we developed protocols and interfaces that made it accessible to billions, and now we can't imagine a world without the internet. So, what we're basically building is a better internet, right? And crypto at its core, it's about empowering individuals with financial sovereignty. So, while the current state of crypto may not be for everyone, we're still very much in the early stages of this technological revolution, if you will. So, I mean, the goal of LayerZero is to build the foundational infrastructure that will make crypto accessible, safe, and useful for everyone. And we're not alone in that journey, right? So there's so much happening, and because it's public, it's permissionless, the rate of innovation is super impressive. So while crypto isn't maybe for everyone today, I think that in 10 years it will be.
Do you think it's a matter of like, creating the user experience where it doesn't feel like crypto, you know? Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
actually crypto.
absolutely. I mean, so when I don't know, airline ticket sales first came online, people weren't buying an airline ticket or booking a holiday online because they wanted to book it through the internet. It was because it was just more convenient of not getting out of your house and standing in line at this shop and then he's like taking home a massive bunch of printed documents. So it's about convenience and the additional benefit or advantages of using this new technology. So I definitely feel that applies here as well.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Like convenience is so key, right? But could making crypto too simple upset advanced users or the tech community? It's always a give and take, right? And yeah, the
Uh,
duality of life.
yeah, I don't think that is a really valid concern. I mean, the space develops over time, right? But still, I mean, you can have a simple interface, which is essential to everyday users, but for advanced users, the underlying protocols and the ability to customize and control every aspect of their transaction, that's probably still available and will always be available, right? So and it's the same with other technologies, whether it's a smartphone or the internet. If you're a developer, everything is configurable, customizable, or you can go as deep as you want. But that shouldn't mean that it's supposed to stay that way and therefore exclude less powerful users in order to reap the benefits of crypto and DeFi.
Yeah. It does not everything has to be a Rubik's Cube, right?
No.
What's the most exciting new feature in crypto apps that could convince skeptics, you think?
I think payments and stablecoins are a fantastic example here. They're growing very rapidly. Globally, there's regulation coming into place that allows further adoption and accelerated adoption of stablecoins. And the value proposition for the average user is very clear, right? So there's a tremendous amount of people, whether that's in the global south or elsewhere, that don't have access to dollar banking, didn't have access to dollar banking, and now they do. So instead of holding a shaky or maybe inflationary local currency, now many people around the globe, they have access to dollars or euros, and in many cases that's also yield generating, right? So that's a super compelling alternative, and it spreads like wildfire because this can just be done through a simple application or your wallet. So I think that is helping a lot of skeptics experience crypto in a very simple way that truly shows the benefits and the value proposition. So I think there will definitely be an accelerator to further adoption. And again, if you abstract some of those complexities away, and then all of a sudden you have an app where you can pay someone or receive dollars or invest in tokenized money market funds or get yield bearing stable coins. But it feels like you're interacting with your banking app, and the complexities of what chain am I on, and do I need gas fees, and how do I sign transactions, and all of that stuff is abstracted away. That will pull in a lot of new users into crypto and DeFi. And I think that's already happening. And then we're not even talking about the uptake on the commercial side of things, or I mean the business side of things, where if you are a treasury manager of a big corporation, now you need to have an account in each and every country for each specific currency, and it doesn't trade over the weekend. So just imagine the complexity of running that and how much it can be simplified moving to multi-currency wallets, where everything is open 24/7, and a lot of the cost inefficiencies of the interbanking system is removed. That's massive. So those real benefits, real cost efficiencies, real new yield opportunities, and a simple user experience that will convince skeptics. It's always difficult to think about how fast these things go. People tend to overestimate the impact of new technology in the short term and then underestimate it in the long term. So yeah, I won't put any timelines on it, but I'm convinced that all of the skeptics will also be convinced at some point.
Yeah, I think so, because I also feel like, once it makes a difference in people's lives in a big way, that will naturally spread, because of the word of mouth, right? And nothing is more convincing in terms of marketing than word of mouth. Um, yeah, I feel that would be very powerful. Yeah. So how can crypto projects really know if improving UX actually works? How do we measure that?
I think the measuring the success of UX improvements also requires a multifaceted approach. There are some traditional UX metrics like user retention or task completion rates and user feedback that all can be used. But then in crypto, there's also the added benefit of having a lot of on-chain data. So you can track the number of new wallets, new users, transaction volume, active addresses. So I think, although I'm not an expert, but correlating these on-chain metrics with changes to the user interface, and then also look at what's happening with other applications, because all of the data is on-chain. Not only your own data is accessible, that should actually be used to get a quantifiable sense of whether UX improvements are driving real adoption and engagement. And I think that there's some comparison there with the rate of innovation, because all the technology is open source and permissionless. Similar accelerated improvements on the UX front, I think, can also work in the same way, because successful applications grow really quickly. Right? So think of Ethena with their stable coin that benefits from a delta neutral hedging strategy and therefore is yield bearing. It has seen a massive uptake compared to other stablecoin providers because of improved product benefits for the average user. And I think some of these effects take shape really quickly in crypto, because it's permissionless. So the same effect should work on UX improvements, I think.
That's amazing. And Ivar, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to add, perhaps?
I think not. No, I think you covered it all. So thank you for the good talk and the questions.
Thank you for that. And that's it for today with Ivar from LayerZero. Subscribe, review, and share, and join us next time for more on the future of crypto and fintech on the Wirex podcast.